what they did was, which was so ingenious, was to create a whole form of urban style music from just two turntables and two records and a microphone.
We went through hell, we went through hell. All's well that ends well, 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 well.
I'm sure you've heard samples in music before. Hip-hop is built upon samples, and they've been used for a variety of different effects. They can set an idea for an album or song, like the beginning of Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. In another way, they can add to an auditory aesthetic of an album, as you can see on anything Madlib has produced. Outside of hip-hop, they can be used as sonic references to some other work. Yes, truly, samples can be used in a variety of different ways. However, the Books are a band that samples in an entirely unique way. It's sampling by association. The samples are either in relation or in irony to one another throughout their music, and it's genius. For now, though, I'm going to assume that the majority of you do not know who the Books are, so here's a brief history.
Most of all, the world is a place where parts of wholes are described within an overarching paradigm.
The Books were the collaborative project of Nick Zammuto and Paul DeJong. Nick is the one singing. Pitchfork perhaps best described them, saying, Nick plays mostly guitar, Paul plays mostly cello, both play computer. They blend elements of hip-hop and sampling, acoustic folk elements, and musical editing straight from electronic music. Just like the samples in their songs, they are a hodgepodge of different influences. They recorded most of their music in the early 2000s and released their last record, The Way Out, in 2010. So why talk about them now if they're broken up? Despite being 7 years old, they have a fresh approach to sampling that I believe creates a useful way of viewing the world, as well as an important way of viewing music. As I said before, the Books sample by association. Their samples are either alike or apart depending on what they want to do with the song. In practice, this means that the songs are written around samples, and samples are picked around other samples. Each sample relies on the ones before and after in order to have its meaning in the song. DeJong says, when I'm recording an LP and there's a spoken word in it, the first thing I do is start putting words in different orders and getting different meanings out of them. These samples are simultaneously all associated with each other and in conversation with the idea of the song. To trace the samples of the Books back to their original sources is almost impossible at times. Most of them come from analog sources, old library VHS tapes, dollar bin records, cassette, old film. You name the medium, they've probably sampled from it. However, when they do use samples from digital sources, they are as obscure as can be. For example, the song If Not Now, Whenever off the album Lost and Safe has the following sample.
Can't find the books. They must be in La Jolla.
This clip comes from a Chicago This American Life episode from January of 2002 called Recordings for Someone. The episode focuses on stories about tapes that were originally intended for one person but are now public, and the humanity that they highlight. The sample comes from a description of a telephone message that was a popular joke on the campus of Columbia University in the early 90s. Here's the whole clip.
You and the Little Mermaid can both go yourselves. I can't find the books. They must be in La Jolla. I'm not going to wait up all night for you. Goodbye.
This is the type of in-depth sourcing that is behind every sample the Books take, but they did not choose it to be obscure. While the obscurity adds a sense of mystery around who these voices are and where they come from, the real reason these samples are chosen is because of the associations they have. That voice line is in conversation with multiple different parts of the song, both in and out of its original context. The episode was recorded in January, and throughout the song you hear a voice say, January. This, along with the episode being called Recordings for Someone, gives the sample association with the Books in its original context. But out of context, the song being called If Not Now, Whenever easily adds meaning to, I can't find the books, they must be in La Jolla. You could respond to this saying, well, if you can't find them now, find them whenever. It's also a part of the song where the books are a theme, which adds irony when they say that they can't find the books. Even still, the term the books takes on an entirely different meaning in and out of context. Truly, Nick Zammuto is right when he says,
Just by placing two disparate elements next to each other, they immediately start a conversation as your brain tries to
wrap itself around their relationship.
Here's another associated sample. One of my favorite songs by the Books is Take Time off The Lemon of Pink. The song's essentially about taking time to enjoy life. You'll find that many of the Books' songs are some universal message to humanity. Nevertheless, the song begins with this sample in Italian.
Tutto è santo, tutto è santo, tutto è santo. Non c'è niente di naturale nella natura, ragazzo mio. Tientilo bene in mente.
This comes from the 1969 film Medea by Pasolini, based on the famous play by Euripides. The beginning of this song easily shows how the Books use samples in conversation with each other to convey ideas. So first, you hear in Italian that everything is sacred and there is nothing natural in nature. Then you hear cheers to that, telling you that this is a good idea. And then you hear Nick sing Take Time.
Take time, take time, take.
To tell you the problem and solution that people do not realize that everything is sacred, that every moment is worthwhile, but if they take time, they will. This song is just an example, but all of these samples communicate with one another to build on an idea of humanity, which is something Paul believes to be at the heart of the Books' music.
What is relevant is that there is a universal humanity.
The Books truly are a band that samples in a unique way. The way they sample provides a useful way to view art, other people, and everything. I think we oftentimes allow things to be happening in the moment. Something is happening, and then it's not happening at all. We get an idea that is clearly inspired by a previous thought, and then consider it our own in the moment, rather than inspired by something else. When we look at a painting, our eyes shift from part to part, sometimes neglecting how all of them fit together and play off each other. To somebody that views the Books in this way, the music is going to seem like these bubbles of sounds from many different sources. But if we connect those bubbles together, what we find is something more meaningful and beautiful. It is a lot more difficult to appreciate the fine details in a work of art while also seeing how those details play into the work as a whole. It's easy to sit back and experience, but seeing, listening, tasting, playing, that's not perceiving. By making songs with samples that converse with each other, the Books require perception in order to make any sense out of their music. It may be satisfying to sit back and listen to the beautiful soundscapes that Jong and Zammuto have produced, but it's not getting the whole picture. When you listen, they create a soundtrack to life, the music of everyday life out of context. But when you perceive, you realize that they're not just showing life. They're commenting on it. While the Books don't exist anymore, they have taught appreciation of finer details in relation to the big picture, which is a message that resonates now more than ever. A lack of understanding and perception can make not only art but everything seem confusing and fickle. And many would say that the music of the Books is the same way. However, when you internalize the perception that the Books require, you see the whole world as a response associated with everything leading up to right now. Every moment becomes vital because words and art are capable of capturing something incredible out of them, and this is exactly what the Books did. There's one more sample that I'd like to show you. Listen to this from the song Motherless Bastard off the album Thought for Food.
Mommy, Daddy! Mommy, Daddy! Mom, Dad?
You have no mother or father.
Yeah, I do!
No, they left. They went somewhere else.
No, they not. You know I do!
I don't know you.
Dad.
Don't touch me. Don't call me that in public.
This conversation was recorded by Nick Zammuto when he was filming jellyfish at a Los Angeles aquarium. It would be a moment entirely forgotten if it weren't recorded, but thankfully it was, and it creates this emotionally ambiguous moment where you think the dad might just be giving the daughter trouble, or he might be serious and this kid is mistaken, which would be really sad. This is the only sample that occurs in the song, which gives you the whole 4 minutes to think it over, and then they play the sample again at the end so that you can react either positively or negatively depending on the side you took. The sample is associated with the song's tonality as well, which is ambiguously beautiful or melancholy, as well as the listener themselves and their thoughts. It does exactly what the Books teach. It takes a moment that would be totally forgotten and forces the listener to dwell on it and try to understand it, instead of just letting it happen. Unfortunately, the Books broke up, but both members are still making music today. Paul de Jong released his album If in 2015, and Nick Zammuto has 2 albums and 2 EPs going by his last name. I ask you to support these people, because clearly the music they've made is unique and important. It is still relevant today because in an age where everything is shouted and thrown at you, those small moments can be easily forgotten, and those moments are where humanity dwells. In short, don't just listen to the books after this video, perceive them, and you will discover something incredible.
I think we live in a time where everything is happening, you know? It's like everything that's possible is happening, and it's happening fast. And I think the books tried to reflect that shift in our own way, and to deal with that shift in our own way. Making that music was, in essence, taking the noise of the world and tuning it to something that we could live with and believe in and love, and share with other people that would evoke the same kind of feeling.
Thank you so much for watching. This video was a passion project for me, so it really means a lot. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and share it somewhere. If you're interested in listening to the books, I put together a little playlist of like 20 highlights of the book's discography, Books Essentials. It's linked below for your listening pleasure. Be sure to subscribe as well for more content from me, and when you do it, hit that bell button right next to my name so that you never miss a video. I'm interested, as always, in hearing your thoughts about this, so drop a comment. Thanks, and I'll see you guys later.